it would have been a mess. But that Celtics news is interesting though. I
Yeah.
wonder who they'll hire.
Let me ask you this, Dre. So you played for the program, obviously. You're still connected to the program because you host a podcast about the Duke basketball program. Is this the move that you wanted to see? Like if you were the one that was making this decision, would it be Jon that you would have gone after? Would it have been someone else? You know, we've talked about this plenty. There was no perfect fit. And to me, it just always seemed like the natural progression would be, okay, you got this associate head coach that's right there. You might as well give him a chance, right?
I mean, yeah, it's interesting because I think it could have been. I think it was just a timing thing, like because it could have been any of the guys who were associate heads for a long time. You know, if this happened 10 years ago, it probably would have been Woj or CC, because they were associate heads. It had been there for a long time, so I think it was just a matter of timing. And obviously, Coach had a big say in it, and he has been around Jon for the last, I guess, 8 or 9 years now, something like that. And he feels like he's, ready to take over. And so, how do you say, how do you say no? How do you say, no, let's go in a different direction? The guy who's been running the program for 40 plus years thinks Jon can take over and run it. So, I have faith in his opinion, and I know Jon will do the best that he can. And I mean, I'm honestly excited. I'm excited to see, what direction Jon takes the program.
Yeah, I'm just happy for him. Like I said, he's one of the nicest people on the planet.
Absolutely,
and
for sure.
It's nice to see good things happen to good people.
Yeah, and he'll get a little bit of a raise in pay, which will be nice. But yeah, it is exciting, man. I mean, it's kind of like Goodman said, man. It's bittersweet. In best era ever coming to a close, but then hopefully starting another great chapter in the history of Duke basketball with Jon at the helm.
One thing I do think will be interesting is to see how he decides to start building the program moving forward. Is he going to continue trying to get all these one and dones and build recruiting classes like the one that you have coming in this season? Is it going to be something where they really go heavy into the transfer market? Is it going to be something where they go back to looking for a lot of guys that are kind of in that like top 50 range that you can expect to be in school for 3 or 4 years? I wonder what Jon's game plan is going to end up being.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because people say things like that a lot on like Twitter and stuff. Oh, stop recruiting one and dones. And I don't know. It's like, what do you do then? If you're at a Duke, do you not recruit the best guys? You know what I mean? Do you say, oh man, Zion, thanks but no thanks? Like, how do you say, a guy like Zion or RJ or Jason Tatum's like, hey, I want to come to Duke. And you're like, no, we're good. You only be here a year. Like, I don't know how, you can't turn those guys away. And, if you look back at it, like, if Grant Hill was coming to Duke in 2021, he's a one and done. Like, so I don't know if we're recruiting different kind of guys. It's just a different day and age. And even with this past year's recruiting class, you got a guy like, Henry Coleman, who wasn't a 5-star, but, he transfers out. Same with Jamin, he transfers out. Even, like DJ Stewart is projected like late second round and he leaves. So, it's like, what do you do? If, especially how, the transfer portal is, it's like, it's free agency. So it's no real downside to transferring. So I think it's difficult for all coaches. Like, the transfer portal is just full of kids. So, I think it's just a different time, man. And you got to figure out how to, put a program together and keep it together. Because, you need that experience to really get deep in the tournament and win games.
And that's probably part of the reason why Coach K is making the decision that he's making now. The sport of college basketball is going to be very different in
completely
the next
different
5 to 10 years between NIL stuff and transfer stuff and all of it. And this as the saying goes, you don't want to teach an old dog new tricks, right? So if he's going to have to change everything that he does and the way that he does it, does it make sense to throw yourself into that when you know that, look, you're 75 years old? There's a, that you're coming up on the end of your working life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I'm not surprised to see it happen. I think it happened a little bit quicker. And like you mentioned, it really sucks that we don't get that last Roy Williams against Coach K matchup, because that would it's like we didn't know it was like the last one we got. There were no fans in the arena.
Yeah, I know. It stinks. I mean, maybe maybe Hubert can step aside and just let Roy come back for 2 games, one at Chapel Hill and one at Cameron. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it is a new day and age is coming in college and athletics in general. I think you'll see a lot of like the older guard of ADs and coaches, football and basketball. Kind of stepping out of the way and, letting new younger people come in and deal with all the just new stuff, because NIL is going to be kind of wild, and, with the transfer portal and everything like that. Yeah, I think there will be a lot of older coaches who are just like, I don't, I was teetering on, retirement, and, with all this new legislation and stuff coming through, I'll just, pass the reins to someone a little bit younger to deal with.
Right. Well, listen, Dre, I'm going to let you get out of here. I want to end it with this though. What are you looking forward to the most for this next season? And what do you think can be maybe like an indicator for the future? Like, what, if we're looking out for one thing to kind of tell us what Duke basketball is going to look like under Jon Scheyer, what should we be looking out for next season?
I mean, I think one thing would probably be to keep an eye on like how recruiting is going. If we're losing battles that we usually win, or if we're continuing to win those battles or be relevant as far as recruiting goes. I mean, I think that's important. Yeah, and I mean, I'm honestly just interested to see how the dynamics work. How much more Jon is involved in the huddles, how much more he's talking. He's not a huge talker, yeller. That's not really his MO. So it'll be interesting to see if he feels like he needs to like change the way he is, or if he sticks to what works for him. So yeah, I'll definitely be tuned in on those sidelines. They need a sideline cam or something like that for all these games.
I think he needs to work on his angry face. Coach K, he's got his angry face, man. It's scary.
Yeah.
Like Jon, though, he looks like he's 12 years old, man. I don't know how
scary. I know. He's looked the same since I've known him. Yeah, man, it'll be interesting. Jon also has to work on make sure he keeps the perception that he's like super nice to all the guys, because it's the funniest thing. I would go home and talk to like aunts and uncles, and they'd be like, does he ever, does Coach K ever curse at you guys? He seems like he's so nice. And I'm like, what? Like, how are you guys seeing that on TV? So yeah, he's got to figure that trick out too.